see death around the corner.
These were not just lyrics. For Tupac, they were warnings, prophecies of his own faith. Tupac wasn't just a rapper. He was a poet, a revolutionary, and the voice of an entire generation. He gave the world more than music. He gave people a mirror to see their struggles, their pain, and their dreams reflected back at them. His words carry power, painting vivid pictures of life in the streets, of injustice, of survival, and of hope. But if you listen closely, woven between the anthems and the fame was something else, something darker, something far more personal. His music carried a haunting awareness, almost an acceptance of how this story might end. In this video, we're going to slow down and really dive into those lyrics where Tupac spoke about death. Not just as an abstract idea, not just as a passing theme, but as if he was narrating his own fate. Over and over, he returned to his topic, reflecting on the shortness of life, the enemies around him, and the constant reality that tomorrow was never promised. It wasn't just entertainment, it was a man pouring out his truth into his art, exposing his fears, his battles, and the weight of living with danger every single day. And as we look back at his verses, line by line, we'll see how these words read almost like a prophecy. Tupac music made him immortal, but the chilling part is how often it feels like he already knew how this story would end. So let's explore together the haunting poetry of Tupac Shakur and the lyrics that seem to foreshadow his fate. And it ain't hard to find, Tupac rapped about being murdered in cold blood, and that's exactly how his life ended, a prophecy fulfilled and a case still unsolved. Listen for yourself.
I heard rumor I died, murdered in cold blood, traumatized. Pictures of me in my final state, you know mama cried.
In the song If I Die Tonight, Tupac writes, I hope they bury me. Headline reads murdered to death. Words that in retrospect seems to foreshadow the violent end that later dominated headlines.
I hope they bury me and send me to my rest. Headlines reading murdered to death. My last breath.
In So Many Tears, Pac described one of the most haunting visions of his faith. Listen closely.
Curse, I'm having visions of leaving here in the hurt scar. Can you feel?
By the time Tupac recorded Death Around the Corner, he was living every day with paranoia and the weight of his enemies closing in. The title itself tells the story. Pac felt death wasn't some distant idea, it was destiny. Listen closely.
No one lives forever anyway, struggling, striving. My destiny's to die.
When Tupac wrote Only God Can Judge Me, those words read like a confession. Tired, hurt, even wishing for an end. The very fate he hinted at came true the next time he was shot. Let me know your thoughts after hearing these lyrics.
Call a nurse cause it hurts to reminisce. How did it come to this? I wish they didn't miss. Somebody help me.
In Point the Finger, Tupac admitted he would be killed by refusing to change, staying true to himself, even if it meant death. Sadly, that fate became his reality. Listen closely.
Say 1, 2, 3, peace to the real G. Still me till these motherfuckers kill me.
And in Str8 Ballin, that same defiance takes on a painful edge. He imagines his own death, but instead of fear, he tells his mother not to cry. Even in the grave, Pac believed they could never strip him of his legacy, which is true today. Take a listen.
Tell mama don't cry, even when they kill me. They can never take the game from a young G.
In Open Fire, Pac takes us inside his paranoia and pain, sleeping with a gun by his side and confessing he's been ready to die since birth. It's not just bravado, it's a window into a man living on borrowed time. Let me know your thoughts after listening.
No, I ain't the one to sleep on. I'm under pressure, gotta sleep with my peace. And extra clips beside my dresser. Word to God, I've been ready to die since I was born.
And after all the lyrics, after all the songs where Pac foreshadowed his own death, we're left with chilling words from his final Vibe magazine interview. He said, "This is my last interview. If I get killed, I want people to have the real story." It wasn't just music. It wasn't just bravado. It was Tupac giving us his truth before the world took him away. Early in his career, the song Representin 93, Tupac made a chilling promise. that he would keep representing with a gun in his hand until the day they kill him. It wasn't a bold statement. It was a declaration of how he expected his story to end.
I represent the real cause I'm ill, G. Clock to the day they kill me. I'm representing.
In Still I Rise, Tupac told the world that no matter where he went, people called out to him to keep it real. And his reply was always the same: until they kill me. A chilling vow of loyalty and defiance that would echo tragically in his faith.
Everywhere I go, niggas holler at me. Keep it real, G. And multiply till they kill me.
In Richie Rich, Niggas Done Change, released after Tupac's death, his verse feels almost ghostly. Pac raps about being shot and murdered as if he's speaking from the grave, a prophecy that became reality before the world even heard it. Listen closely.
Niggas hop on they toes like Alvin Ailey. I've been shot and murdered. Can't tell you how it happened word for word.
Lately, I've been feeling like my luck's been running out.
In the song Under Pressure by Thug Life, Pac once rapped that before he died, he'd be cursing the law. Years later, the night he was fatally shot, police pulled him from the car and asked who shot him. In his final words, "Fuck you." Just like his music, even in death, Pac stayed true to himself. Was he a poet?
So I looked at him, and now he looked at me, and it's kind of the first time he's even acknowledging that I'm there. And I go, "What happened, man?" I go, "Who shot you? Who did this?" And he started, he's trying to get a breath together, and he's looking at me, and I thought he's actually going to tell me. And, he got his breath together, and he looked at me, and he said, "Fuck you." And after he said it, his eyes kind of rolled back in his head, started gurgling, blood coming out of his mouth and nose, and he slipped out of consciousness. So that would be his last words that he ever said.
Right before I die, I'll be cursing the law. Reincarnated bitch, even worse than before.
Rap star Tupac Shakur died last night after a brief life in a rough business. He was 25.
You come out, you hear a lot of controversy going on right now about rap. Just Time Warner dropping Interscope and a lot of things that have resulted from people saying it's a bad image, it's bad for young people. Tell us your comments on that.
I said so many comments on this, but basically, it's a hypocritical view. Because what you're saying is, it's okay for us to live in the dirt, in the gutter, in less than human conditions, but it's not okay for us to tell people that we're living in these conditions. Everything was cool, the ghetto was okay, it was habitable until we started talking about exactly what were the repercussions of living this type of lifestyle, what happens when you live in this kind of environment, what type of person it changes you into. Now all of a sudden it's like you can't talk about that, but this is what we live in. We don't have a choice, It's either we really kill people, do dope, sell dope, and have murders and do all this crazy stuff, or we talk about the fact that we got so close, man. If it wasn't for this rap thing, we would really have to do A, B, and C. You know what I mean? And that's not good. That's not nothing to look up to, but that's the truth. That's how it is, Every human being inside your chest or your stomach or whatever, we're all given from God the survival instinct. And everybody has to live, self-determination. You have to live. You have to be able to live and survive and live like a human being, not like an animal. So whatever it takes to live like that is what happens, whatever it takes. If you put Bob Dole in those conditions, he would do the same thing. So would C. Dolores Tucker. If she wasn't so rich, she didn't have the pearls, and she didn't have the NAACP backing her up, and all these conventions and coalitions backing up, and she was by herself, and she was on welfare, she would love our music, because she would know what this music breeds. She would know where we from, what we talking about. But from where she at, she can't understand, and I understand where they coming from, because now that I got money, it's hard for me to hear a lot of the stuff that we gotta listen to, but I can't be a hypocrite though. I gotta understand, it's only a few dollars that's keeping me from being that right there.
Honestly, I feel like I could represent my generation so much because I honestly did not care whether I lived or died. But now, I cannot die with people thinking I'm a rapist or a criminal. I can't leave until this shit's straight. I'm not suicidal. I can't go until y'all really know what time it is. And then after that, boom, it's all over. And we can see, how this shit fall. But that's how it is. And the reason being is because if I can't live free, if I can't live with the same respect as the next man, I don't want to be here. Because God has cursed me to see what life should be like. If God wanted me to be this person and be happy here, he wouldn't let me feel so oppressed. He wouldn't let me feel so trampled on. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't let me think the things I think. So honestly.
I said, how old are you? He's like 23. He said, nigga, I'm telling you, I ain't gonna live past 25. That nigga just looked at me, man, with a dead ass stare and said, Smooth, listen, I already synced it. I know how I'm gonna go out, nigga. And I was like, alright, nigga. You know what I'm saying? And so when that shit happened at 25, I was floored, nigga. I was fucking floored.
Pac's story wasn't just told through headlines, it was told through his art. Every lyric, every verse, every warning felt like a mirror reflecting the life he was living and the death he saw coming. He didn't just rap about death, he understood it. He faced it, wrote about it, and somehow made peace with it. And even though they silenced the man, the message still speaks louder than ever. Because legends never die. They just rhyme through
The Reaper.
But I'm a soldier, I always survive. I constantly come back. You know what I mean? Only thing that can kill me is death. That's the only thing that'll ever stop me is death. And even then, my music will live forever.
How long will you move me?